I'm recording, blah, 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 and put notes on my phone. All right, and I'm ready. Welcome back to Ferret's Gone. You know, per every episode, we got to hit it with power rankings first, right? We got to always hit it with power rankings first. That's how this starts out. Um, you want to go bottom top or top to bottom?
Let's go 10 to 1.
10 to 1. All right. Coming in at my number 10 spot is the Cleveland Indians. Coming in at my number 9 spot, the Chicago Cubs. The number 8 spot, the Minnesota Twins. The number 7 spot, the New York Yankees. And the number 6 spot, the Chicago White Sox. It's my bottom 5. Let me hear yours.
Wow. Um, I had Cubs at 10, Indians at 9, so I had those flip-flop from you. I had the Yankees at 8, Braves at 7, and Twins at 6.
All right. Getting to the top 5. We'll just go one by one here. At my number 5 spot, I have the Tampa Bay Rays.
I had Oakland at 5.
All right. At my number 4 spot, I have the Atlanta Braves.
I had Rays at 4.
My number 3 spot, I have the Padres.
I had White Sox at 3.
At my number 2 spot, I have the Oakland A's.
Wow. Yeah, I had Padres at 2.
All right,
And
cool.
I
We have
didn't
Dodgers at 1.
know. Yep.
All right, cool. The Dodgers still on top. The same teams flip flopped. I guess it's whether you want to take in, I guess, recent accounts or your personal opinion of the team. Really, that's what these power rankings are breaking down to. That's why I still have the Yankees over a team like the Twins, the Cubs, the Indians right now. I fully expect the Yankees to bounce back to championship to World Series form here. I'm a little higher on Oakland than most. I really like Matt Olson. Matt Chapman being hurt really hurts him right now, though.
Yeah.
They're gonna
That's
start.
why I dropped to 5.
Yeah, they're gonna start sliding here pretty soon. But Oakland's still a solid team. Padres still good. Obviously, the White Sox have been insane, and the Padres and White Sox, we touched on them last week, and they haven't slowed down one bit at this pace, which is unexpected, but also expected at the same time. The one guy I really want to touch on, everyone talks about Tatis, everyone talks about Eloy, everyone talks about Giolito. Tim Anderson has
Oh
been
my gosh, he's been incredible.
absolutely insane. I didn't realize this. I was putting together myself, a little tweet and just talk about the MVP race and stuff like that. And I hadn't realized Tim Anderson has a 1,025 OPS right now. He is batting 380. 380. And this is a guy in this offseason we're talking about, hey, if he can walk a little more, maybe hit a couple more home runs, he would be really good. And right now, he's looking, and I'm not kidding you, arguably better than Fernando Tatis.
Oh yeah, he's been ridiculous. Doesn't get talked about. And he's been, I think, a microcosm of the White Sox so far this year. And he picked right up where he left off last year. I think he won an AL batting title last year. Or no, did he win the MLB batting
He
title?
won the MLB batting title.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim Anderson insane. Padres are still doing their things. Biggest winner losers this season. Coming into this season, we were expecting a lot. I think we're at the point of the season where playoffs aren't locked. Maybe there's a couple spots that could go left or right, but for the most part, the big squads are they're in there. They're in there. So we can really start about winning and losers this weekend. So who's your biggest loser?
Probably the A's, I would say, with Matt Chapman going down. That's a big blow. They're really the only team that I would say outside of underperforming teams, that really I would call a loser. Just losing Matt Chapman out of that lineup for the rest of the year is going to really hurt them.
Yeah, Matt Chapman losing right there. I was gonna say the Braves for a little bit, but they've really bounced back. Like over the last, I think about 2 weeks ago, I thought the Braves were in a real bad spot, and then next thing you know, Freddie Freeman's back, and I think we'll touch on him a little bit later here. But right now, my biggest loser has to be the New York Mets. New York Mets were a team with so much hype coming into this season, and a team we really all expected a lot from with Pete Alonso, with Jacob DeGrom, with Conforto, and I feel like we've been saying this for 5 years now, where Or ever since that World Series run, we're like, yeah, the Mets, bro, they can win the East, they can win the East, and now they're sitting at 21-27 again. Like they're horrendous again, and they still Jacob DeGrom is still
And
that good.
about that, uh, Degrom left to start tonight after I think 2 innings and 3 earned. Came out due to injury.
Yeah.
So I don't know what injury that was, how severe it was. If it was just precaution, but fingers crossed that it's nothing serious for
Mm-hmm.
him.
Yeah, another one of the other biggest losers, Boston, has to be Boston, right? I mean, they're sitting at
Yeah.
18 and 31.
But actually, I don't know if I'm ready to call Boston biggest loser. I almost think this is a good thing for them. Almost kind of like a little bit different than football, just because your draft picks don't usually end up making an impact right away. But kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Colts after Manning left, and they had one bad year, got the number one pick, took luck, and then jumped right back into being a decent team. It almost feels like that. Like I still think they've got the pieces to be a good team. They can be a playoff contender, but Sale is out for the year. They went ahead and jumped the ship on Betts and got rid of him. So it's kind of going to be a lost year for them anyway. And the fact that they've underperformed to this level, that they could actually have a chance that they might end up with the number one pick, and to be able to pick a impact player like Kumar Rocker maybe, and then kind of jump back into where they left off after that, I don't think it could be the worst thing. But I don't think anybody expected Boston to be this bad.
You know what? You convince me. That's a plenty fair point. That is a plenty fair point that I can get behind. I guess them losing is actually the good thing. Is
Yeah.
is borderline a good thing for them. Um, but the biggest winner, I'm gonna have to say Toronto. Honestly, Toronto is my biggest winner out of all of this because they're like the inverse of the Mets. They were a team. They were like, yeah, they got a lot of young guys. You know what I'm saying? A lot of young guys. They add Ryu. They have Teoscar Hernandez. He's a little something, something. But it's still a lot of young guys, a lot of flash, a lot of maybe in 3 years. And now they're sitting at 26 and 21, and they're in a postseason run right now. They're seven. They're the 7th seed. Like we can sit here and
Yeah.
we talk about San Diego and we talk about the White Sox, but those were borderline expected. We were all still pegging Toronto third, but not competitive third, not in a competitive spot at third place, at least for me. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go Toronto.
I mean, yeah, according to ESPN right now, Toronto's got a 97% chance to make the playoffs.
Yep.
And I think the only team that even has a chance at them are Detroit, who's 5 games back, and Seattle, who's 4 games back. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, that's my biggest winner. Obviously we talk about the White Sox and Padres though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna shy away from the Padres and White Sox just because they're playing so well right now that's obvious. But I'm gonna go with the Cubs in part because how they've played, and in part because how the rest of their division has played, specifically Cincinnati. I think a lot of us expected Cincinnati to come out and be really good this year, could be a dark horse to win the division, and they just haven't played well. That combined with the Cubs playing as well as they've had, the pitching staff has shown up, the offense has shown up for the most part, in spite of Baez and Bryant's struggles, and they're sitting 4.5 up in the division right now, and that doesn't include the fact that St. Louis still has a couple doubleheaders left to play. They've got a few games to make up, but Chicago's in a great position right now. They're gonna have a top 3 seed. And they've had a good season so far. I think better than a lot of people expected.
Yeah, no, Chicago's a good one because honestly we didn't. They were a question mark coming to this offseason. Absolutely, literally everything we talked about was a question mark with them, to the point where we're talking literally hitting, pitching, defense, minor leagues, bullpen, everything. I don't think there was a single thing that any of us really pointed to that said, yeah, the Cubs are really good in that. So yeah, Cubs big winners. Cubs are big winners.
Yeah, I guess in a short term winners just this week, the Yankees are getting Gio Urshela came back yesterday, Stanton came back yesterday, Judge came back tonight. So that's going to be a huge boost for them coming into the playoffs because they've kind of underperformed to this standpoint.
Yeah, yeah. Just to be the homer as well, the Braves big winners for this week. Ozzy's back. Freeman is off the absolute hook. Cole Hamels is actually back. He's starting tonight. The Braves look like they're starting to really figure out the offense right now. Adam Duvall is actually kind of sort of in MVP talks. He's not there, but to the point where he's been really good. Marcell Ozuna's been really good. So the Braves, I think, are big winners this week, especially getting Hamels back. Whether he's fine-tuned or not tonight, I don't think he has been, but big winners there. But that leads me into MVP talks, and usually these are kind of graced over, and we give our top guy. But I really want to kind of talk about the race right now because I think there is a couple actual races going on, especially in the NL right now. If I had to give my MVP to someone right now, just right now, I'm probably gonna have to give it to Fernando Tatis. And while the media may portray this as like a runaway, and Fernando Tatis is the obvious choice, Freddie Freeman is right on him. And I mean literally right on him. Right now, Freddie Freeman in the National League is first in average, second in OBP, second in slugging, second in OPS, third in runs, second in hits, first in doubles, 11th in home runs, first in RBIs, second in walks.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's kind of a three-man race between Tatis, Betts, and Freeman. They're all right there. Depending on how these last 2 weeks play out, I think honestly, any of the three of them can really separate themselves. I would almost throw Trey Turner in there too if the Nats weren't sitting in 5th place right now. I think that hurts them a lot. He's not really going to get any consideration. But, I mean, 2 weeks ago it looked like Tatis in a runaway. He's not been bad but cooled off some. Betts has stayed hitting. Freeman's gotten better. It's going to come down to one of those three. And really, I think any of them have a decent shot at this point.
And this is where I like to get up on my soapbox sometimes because we've talked about last year and we've talked about for the last couple of years about Freddie Freeman and his Hall of Fame accolades and what it will take him. And we talked about an MVP. And whether that's in a shortened season or not, it's still an MVP. And this might be his year to do it because right now he looks like the best hitter on the face of the planet. I mean, I'll touch on some of his last week stats, and you'll really see what I mean. Freeman, it's either a double or home run with him right now. He's not striking out. He's walking. I mean, I just led you all the rankings. But, yeah, in an MVP right now for me in the NL, I have Tatis 1, Freeman 2. I have Juan Soto at 3. I have Mookie Betts at 4, and then I have Trey Turner at 5. If Soto and Turner, if the Nats weren't putrid, they would definitely. I think Soto would be 1 if the Nats weren't absolutely just horrendously bad. Betts has obviously crushed the ball. I think he hit that. I think he hit everything right on the head there. But yeah, that's in the NL for me at least.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think if there's a year for Freeman to do it, it's this year. But the only thing that worries me is Tatis has stolen the headlines. Mookie has stolen the headlines, and I hate to say it, but you know as well as I do, if there's any of the three of them that's going to get overlooked, it's going to be Freddie.
Oh yeah, it's year in year out with him. Year in year out, I'm used to it at this point. Looking at the AL, boy, this is a weird race. I'll tell you, the AL is the weird race. Right now, I have Mike Trout at 1. Honestly, he even numbers wise, he's probably been the best player in the AL. Mike Trout is that dude, but boy, it gets real weird 2 through 5. 2 through 5. I have Luke Voit at my 2nd spot. I got Tim Anderson at my 3rd spot. I have Oscar Hernandez at the 4th spot, and I have Nelly Cruz at my 5th spot for MVP right now.
Yeah, this one's kind of in the air. You can go a lot of different directions. I mean, I think you can make obviously a good case for Trout. You can make a good case for Tim Anderson, Nelson Cruz, Jose Abreu, Luke Voit, all those guys. One dude who you didn't mention, who I think actually has a decent shot to win it, is Shane Bieber. He's been absolutely ridiculous this year. And if there's a year, I mean, we mentioned there's a non-zero chance that a pitcher wins an MVP this year just because they're going to have a big impact. And you go on a stretch like he has. He's for one of the AL in strikeouts by 20.
Mm-hmm.
He's at 102. I think the next highest is Cole at 83. Like, I think he's in the thick of it too, to be honest.
Yeah, I just don't like having pitchers in my MVP race. I don't like having pitchers win the award.
I agree.
But I will say, if there's one man I want to make an argument for, it's Luke Voit. I mean, that dude has stepped up to the plate when he needed to. With Judge going down, Giancarlo going down, Urshela going down, DJ going down, and that team's offense kind of decimated. That dude has been unbelievable for the Yankees.
He he is so underrated, even before this year.
Yep.
Uh, he, I don't know. Since he became now he was hurt for a little bit last year, didn't quite play a full season, but since he became the starter in New York in 20 mid 28 or late 2018, he leads the AL in AL first baseman in almost every offensive category. Now, I mean that's not saying a ton because I feel like your really only competition is Jose Abreu, but I mean, I don't think most people would think that he leads the AL in every offensive category basically since August 2018 among AL first basemen. And he's
Yeah.
been so good this year.
Yep. Voit has
So
been
good this
insanely
year.
good.
And carrying a underperforming him and DJ LeMahieu, man. If it were not for those two, the Yankees would be out of the playoff picture for sure.
Yep.
Glaber's underperformed. Gary's underperformed. Stanton and Judge hurt. Gio Urshela's been hurt. Hicks has not played well. Brett Gardner's been putrid. Pitching staff's been up and down. He has carried that team.
Oh, he absolutely has. Absolutely has. We already touched on Tim Anderson. Teoscar Hernandez, just very similar to Tim Anderson, is the guy we don't talk about a lot, and he's been insane with the bat this year. And then Nelson, the ageless wonder Cruz. I usually I usually don't like to throw in a DH or pitcher in my MVP races, but Nelson Cruz has honestly been that good that I'm at least giving him some consideration here.
Yeah, I think at this point, I don't think he'll win it, but I mean, I think if you're gonna give Abreu some light, you gotta if you're a voter and you're gonna consider Abreu, you gotta consider Cruz too.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, it's one thing to play Goldschmidt and Freeman, Matt Olson level defense over at first base. It's another thing, honestly. I know people knock on the DH for not having to play defense, but let's not act like Jose Abreu does anything plus defensively at first base. He's there to hit and do nothing else. I don't see much difference between him and Nelson Cruz
Yep.
as far as awards and in the MVP race and the value they bring to their team.
Yep. I'm with you 100%. With you 100%. Let's get into some playoff stuff. Obviously, the bubble has been approved, which I think they should have done with baseball anyways. I guess it'd be much harder, so I'm not going to get into that argument. But the bubble for the playoffs have been approved. The thing I really do not like, and then I guess the players approved as well, is there are no off days for the first 3 rounds of the playoffs.
That's gonna.
So teams that were either going to rely on their starting pitching because they have no bullpen or vice versa are put into a really tough spot now.
Yeah.
One bad game is going to cripple a team.
Yeah, you're really. It would not surprise me to see teams if you have a game get out of hand like 8-9-1, maybe something like that, 7-8 run game. Throw a position player out there. You would almost never see that in the playoffs, but without off days, the odds you come back from a 7-8 run deficit are super low anyway, especially in the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if anybody gets in that situation, if they just punt the rest of the game and save the pitching staff.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I don't know, man. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't think it's right to do that to players. I mean, I guess the players agreed to it. I wouldn't have if I was in the Players Association, because I just think that's ridiculous. No rest time. I mean, just the pitching is gonna take an absolute beating, man. An absolute beating. One bad game is just absolutely gonna ravish a staff. Offenses better be hot. That's all I gotta say. Offenses better be hot in the playoffs.
Yeah. So offenses better be hot, and some of these teams, better really hope that they wrap their series up quick and that their second or third round opponent, has a little trouble, so they can get some off days in there.
Yep, I agree. I agree. The start date's obviously September 29th. The current seeding right now, it's actually pretty interesting. We're getting a lot of teams that are going to be fun to watch. Um,
I think the
in the AL,
Giants are in the playoff right now, right?
I believe so. In the AL, the Chicago White Sox are the first seed. Tampa Bay Rays are the second seed. Oakland's the third seed. Minnesota is the fourth seed. New York's the fifth seed. Houston's the sixth seed. Toronto seven and eight. Cleveland. If there is one series that I believe the Cleveland could upset the White Sox, is what I'm going to say.
Oh, for sure. With their pitching staff, absolutely.
And then you got experience with Frankie Lindor, and you got experience with Jose Ramirez, and guys who had been there, done that. And in White Sox, you don't have any experience. Like, they're fresh and new to this.
If you are Chicago, you are praying that Cleveland catches Toronto for the seventh spot.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then Tampa Bay would play Toronto, Oakland would play Houston, and New York would play the Twins. So oddly enough, this almost looks just like, if you just look at the middle seeds, this looks just like last year's AL playoffs, anyways.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
It looks pretty set in stone. The AL. Seattle is 4 games back of Cleveland. I enjoy that my dark horse World Series team is dead last in the AL. So I really swung and missed on that one. Texas is 17-31.
I told you they can't hit.
Let's not talk about it. Hey, they can hit in this show, man. They got some glitchy cards in the show, and I was really banking on it being IRL. Leave me alone. Oh boy. But over the NL, Dodgers 1 seed, Chicago Cubs 2 seed, Atlanta's a 3 seed, San Diego 4, Miami 5, St. Louis 6, Philly 7, and Giants 8. So the Dodgers will be playing the Giants. I think that's pretty much a wash. The Cubs will be playing the Phillies. That's actually could be a good series. Atlanta would have to play the Cardinals, which is my worst nightmare. Which is my absolute worst nightmare, is Atlanta having to play the Cardinals in the postseason. And then San Diego would just steamroll the Marlins. The one thing I want to point out in NL is there is such a jump between the 4 seed and the rest of everybody else. Because San Diego is 32-18. The Braves are 29-20, Chicago's 29-20, and Dodgers are 34-15. And the Miami Marlins at the 5 seed are 24-22. And then the Cardinals have a losing record, 21-22. The Phillies are 24-23, and then the Giants have another losing record at 23-24. There's such a disparity there in the NL.
Yeah.
Unlike the AL.
Yeah. And we've seen too. I mean, could you have imagined it pre-COVID in March during spring training? If you'd have said by mid-September, the Marlins and the Giants are both going to be in the playoff position in mid-September.
Wouldn't have believed you.
Man, at this point, one of them, just odds-wise, one of them is going to make it at least.
Mm-hmm. So if the season ended today, which wouldn't be bad, I'm just going to pick the higher seeds over the lower seeds here, and we're just going to kind of preview this. The White Sox would be playing the Twins, and the A's will be playing the Rays, which are solid matchups. Over on the NL side, the Dodgers will be playing the Padres, and the Braves will be playing the Cubs. But here's where it gets interesting. If you don't take the top seeds, say the Yankees beat the Twins, which I'll put money on. I think the Yankees have a cakewalk to the CS because they play one of the White Sox and the Indians. And look, I don't want to put these teams down, and I realize the White Sox have been good, yada yada yada, but it's the Yankees in the playoffs, right? And I think the Yankees are in a really good spot to at least get to the CS. And I feel the same about the Braves because if they win, they have to play one of the Cubs and Phillies, which don't scare me one bit, comparatively speaking to if the Braves had to play one of the Dodgers or the Padres.
Yeah, I think the AL is kind of wide open, to be honest. The Yankees have underperformed. If they had performed to expectations, I think they would be the pretty clear favorites. But honest God, you could make a case for any of those teams except maybe Toronto having a decent shot to make the World Series.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the AL is a lot more balanced than the NL, and I think that breaks down to not the Cubs, the Reds playing pretty poorly, the Mets and the Nationals being absolute dumpster fires in the East. Because I think those are 3 teams you really expected to be there instead of Miami, the Phillies, and the Giants. Just from a talent standpoint, they're probably a little better. And then obviously Milwaukee's been close, just as bad. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year the Giants, led by like Tyler Anderson and Evan Longoria, would have been in the
Tough.
postseason,
So
like I wouldn't have believed you. But hey, that's where we're at with the postseason. That's where we're at the postseason. Any final thoughts on the postseason before we hit 3 stars?
I'm really excited to see this 8-team playoff format.
Yeah, I am too. I am too. Just to see how it works. I know Manfred made the statement that obviously we could have it going forward, and the more I think about it, the like less like chapped I am about it, the less like upset I am
Yeah,
about it. I think it'd be cool.
yeah,
I
I'd
guess
be
we'll really see
okay.
how it plays out. But let's get into 3 stars just to wrap us up here. Obviously, we do 3 stars every week. These are guys that maybe not getting the media attention that they deserve. And sadly, I have 2 homers on my list, so I'm going to let you start with your first star.
My first star, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know who he was before I did some research. Jared Walsh. He's been playing first base for the Angels. His last 5 games, multi hits in all 5 games, 4 homers, 11 RBIs. He's been off the charts for them since coming up, and not a ton going on in LA for the Angels this season, but he's been a bright spot.
Absolutely. That's a good pick. That's a good pick. I'm going to go Homer for my first star. I'm going to go Ozzy Albies. Since coming off the DL here for the Braves, he had a pretty lengthy stint there. He's 11 for 29, couple home runs, has been seeing the ball well, playing plus defense. Not a lot of standout stuff, but just coming off that injury, he's provided the Braves the pretty big boost there, especially when you can stick Ozzy Albies in the 8 or 9 hole.
Yeah. Alright, clocking in at number 2 for me, I've got Luke Voigt. We touched on him a little bit earlier. He's got 2 multi-homer games in his last 4 games. Leads the majors in homers this year. And speak of the devil, about 5 minutes ago, he hit a 3-run homer. So
Yeah, I
he's
mean,
been great all season. Had a great week again.
yeah, I
He,
mean,
he's
Luke Voigt's been good, absolutely. I'm going to stick Homer here. I'm going to go with Freddie Freeman. That's my second star. In his last 7 games, he's 13 for 26 with 3 bombs, 8 RBIs, batting 500, slugging 962. Along with those 13 hits, 8 runs, 5 walks, only struck out twice, even stole a bag. And most importantly, over his last 15, he's even batting 439. Over his last 30, he's batting 414. Yeah,
God. Oh
he's
my God.
yeah. Over his last 15 games, he's also slugging still
Wait, these are
877.
30 games.
30 games. Last 30
Oh
games, he's
my
batting 414 with a 522 OBP and a
God.
748 slug with 8 home runs.
Give me, put me on the make me campaign manager for the Freddie Freeman for MVP race,
That's what I'm saying.
please.
And that goes along with
That's
23 walks and only 13 strikeouts. Yeah, he's been that good. He has in fact been that good. So Freddie Freeman's clocking in.
Mm. And then third star for me, I had Dane Dunning. Really been kind of overlooked in the Adam Eaton deal. They got him along with Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez from the Nats. I think he made his major league debut this year, and his last 2 starts, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 3 Ks, no earned, and then just last night, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 2 walks, 7 Ks. He's been really good for Chicago this year. One of the guys kind of that we didn't even mention as being one of the young guys that could step up and contribute for Chicago to kind of help them make the leap this year. And they've gotten contributions from everybody we expected, and then guys like Dane Dunning, who we didn't really see coming, and that's one of the reasons why they're sitting atop the AL right now.
Yeah, no, great pick. For my third star, I'm gonna have to go with Alec Mills. We're just going to the other side of Chicago. Obviously, the no hitter there. The first time since I believe 1901 that 2 Chicago players from obviously the separate teams have thrown a no hitter in the same season. Alex Mills, big ups. I don't think he's getting the as much hype as Giolito did just because he wasn't the first one, but unbelievable feat there for Alec Mills. So yeah, big shout out. He has to take my third star. Final thoughts?
Um, I am really interested to see if both the Marlins and Giants stay in playoff position these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, so am I. So am I. I'm interested about the Cardinals because the Cardinals still are like they're lagging behind in games total games played. So I think they're going to be quite interested to see where that one ends up.
In the NL and AL MVP races, I think Cy Young are both kind of more or less decided. Bieber's got it locked up in the AL. I think even if he misses the rest of the season, I still think DeGrom probably gets it in the NL. He may only miss 1 or 2 starts the
Yep.
rest of the season, even if he misses the rest of the year. I think those are kind of foregone, but the MVP races are still very much to be decided.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm out of final thoughts, so I think that's going to wrap us up here for Fair It's Gone. We will catch you guys next time.